Hi, this is Paul Brewer. I was with Leon Russell for 3 months, October, November, December in 1981. And even though that's a short period of time, it was long enough to become familiar with Leon's way of creating music and with the man himself, because I spent a lot of time with him, uh, late nights talking about different things, and also figuring out how I would arrange music for his, what was at that time an 11-piece band. I think some of you have read how he ended up calling my arranging approach Brewer's Law, which was very nice. I love that compliment. It was not my law by any means. It was an orchestration technique that applies to disparate, dissimilar instruments when they're in an ensemble like that. And it was very simple. It worked very well, and so well, in fact, that I didn't really need to write anything down except for myself to chronicle what was taking place with the band at that time, and so that I could have that as a something I could show with Leon and discuss with Leon if anything began to get out of kilter in some way, which it would from time to time. I would write down all the riffs and everything that everybody was playing, and sometimes they would kind of morph into other riffs, and I would stop the band and say, "No, which way are we going to do this? Like we originally started it, or?" And generally, the band would default back to Leon's original idea, which was always the best, and that made it easy for me to be able to arrange some things that would be cohesive and grow up out of what it is, what his concept was. Uh, when you read my post about several things, one of the things I mentioned was his song "This Masquerade," and those of you who read my post about that will remember that I had complimented Leon on. We were riding around in his car and somewhere in close to Nashville, Hendersonville, I think, and we were talking, and I said, "That's a great tune. I really admire your work on that." And Leon told me that he had adapted it from the 1946 ballad by Matt Dennis called "Angel Eyes." And as I thought about it for a while, I was stunned by that, because the ordinarily when a musician takes the chords, and I realized too that you can't copyright chords. Chord progressions cannot be copyrighted. Melody lines are copyrighted. Leon took the progressions to Matt Dennis's "Angel Eyes" and then extrapolated from there to create his song "This Masquerade." Now, he did more than just take the chords. He expanded the middle section so that it comes out what musicians will recognize as irregular form. Now, Leon liked irregular form. Tightrope is like that. It's in irregular form. It's not 32 bars, in other words. The But his compositional style was so seamless that you would never know that anything was out of the ordinary or out of the conventional, put it that way. Frequently, it was, and in very many subtle ways. This Masquerade is no exception. So what I want to do is show you how he did this, because he sent me to the piano and he said, "You go look at this, deconstruct it, and tell me what you find." And I found a treasure trove of ideas and compositional brilliance on Leon's part. I'll pause the recording here and then we'll change the screens, and I'll show you what he did. Okay, I'm going to share the screen here, and musicians will be able to follow along easily enough. If you have just the basic background in music theory, you'll understand this, and composition. For the rest of you who are not musicians, but who love music and appreciate it, I'll do my best to put things in terms of descriptive analysis as I get into this, and I think you'll understand it. So let's share the screen here, and what I'll do is I'll pull up. There it is. This Masquerade and "Angel Eyes." Now, what you'll notice these letters here: A, A1 or A prime is the way this is called, B, C, A, and so forth. Now that refers to form. I mentioned earlier that Leon was fond of irregular form, and for the mostly in the form of 16-bar middle sections, okay, which are generally 8 measures, but Leon liked to expand the middle parts of songs and frequently. But let's take a look at this. The top line is, and if you're not a musician, just I'm sure you can figure this out just by following the contours here. The top line is this Masquerade. The second line here is Angel Eyes. Now I want you to notice the similarities here, but the ingenuity of Leon to appropriate the materials from Angel Eyes and then to transform them toward his own expressive ends with this Masquerade. Now the first chord, C minor 7, like that. Now, for those of you who are not musicians, I'll give you a description of what this is. It's going to sound really fancy and music theory prone, but you do know what it is. You just don't know the name of it. This sound, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that's the major scale. Musicians, it's the Ionian major scale, as you know. But with the rest of us, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the major scale. We know what that is, okay? There's another scale sound, and there's several versions of this, but this is the one we draw our chords from. It's a harmonic minor. Now, there are some adjustments, musicians who are listening to this, that we have to make in order to get all the chords to work in a minor key. And there are theorists are at swords point over how this is done, but jazz musicians, rock and rollers like Leon would think in terms of harmonic minor. So 2 modes of tonality, which all that means is there are certain sounds, kind of a happy sound, major, right, and minor, right, and then major again. Now Leon wrote this Masquerade in a minor key because that's what Angel Eyes was. Now he starts out this way. Right, you guys recognize the melody, right? That's the opening line. You can see it here. Now this, when you see the line going up, all those notes are really close together, straight up the scale, and then he leaps up to a D and resolves down to C, right there. Step, 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 leap. Right, he starts where he ended on a C. So those first 4 bars create a beautiful architecture, moving up and then moving down like that. Now this line where he goes up the scale and then leaps upwards and then resolves down like that is a feature of that he employs in a certain way. You'll see how it works, so that in the first part of the tune, this sound, moving up, leap, go down. He does that again in some really interesting ways. Now, Angel Eyes, as opposed to now this Masquerade, that sound there, that's a minor major 7 chord. Now that's and what I just sang was Angel Eyes, but I used Leon's chords, and you see how it worked. It worked beautifully. Now Angel Eyes itself has these chords, right? Now that's what's fascinating about this, to me, is that Leon song this Masquerade, although it uses different chord progressions a little bit for his song, those chords work with Angel Eyes, but the reverse isn't true. You know, Leon, in other words, he created a melodic line that won't work with as well with the chords to Angel Eyes. So he's already off to a brilliant start here. So that chord, now James, in one of the my interactions with people on this post, recognized that chord. It's from My Funny Valentine, right? You guys know it. Right, there it is, C minor major 7. Leon used it for himself in this chord, in this tune. Now, Leon did something different here where he goes to that chord, that F7 chord. Now, that chord is not in the key of C minor. So what is he doing? You know, Leon is creating what's called a tonal implication. He's hinting at something. You know, he's hinting at another key, which he doesn't go to. In other words, right? Now, ordinarily, that chord would go there to E flat. So he's hinting. That's what's called the relative major, E flat major, but he doesn't go there. So, but that hint makes you hear things a little differently. Are we really happy with this lonely game? We listen to the chord play. There's the note, the original note. He goes right back to C minor. Searching for words. I love that chord. He goes to the sixth step of the minor scale and grabs that A flat 7 right there. Right? Okay. And he does it again. This is A1. This is where we are now. And he does the same pattern. And then he changes it a little bit in the last 4 measures right here. And we get a blues lick. We're lost in this masquerade. Right? Now, right here, what we're looking at, this G flat, right? The blues, okay? Matt Dennis does this. You see this note here? Matt Dennis does it up here. Leon waits until the end to create that blues line. The other thing too, this note, D to C, right? Ba ba dee da dum, ba da da dee da dum, and then ba ba dee, right? Okay. Then he does it again, ba ba da da dum, right? Dee da da dee dee dum, ba da dee da dee da. What we notice is D to C, right? Right that, and then right, and then right. So we get he's implied across these measures here. He's implied the blues very subtly. It's in there, okay, in this melodic line. And I promise you, Leon was conscious of all of this while he was doing it. Okay, and then he repeats the line again and angelized it a little different. If you go back here, ba-dee-dee, ba-dee-dee-dee, right, and then ba-do-do-dee-dee-dee-dee. You can hear the similarity. Ba-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, dum, ba-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. You can tell where Leon appropriated his ideas. Okay, then Leon does something. This is the thing that threw me. This is why I didn't figure it out until he sent me to the piano and told me to play these 2 tunes and just to show what he had done. Leon used a technique that's called augmentation in the bridge. He expanded, in other words, he expanded the harmonic rhythm. Harmonic rhythm simply means the number of beats that each chord has, right? In the song Angel Eyes, the middle part, or the B section here, this part right here, is 8 measures long. Leon had a fondness for 16 measure middle parts, like in Tightrope. He has one, he uses a 16 measure middle part. A measure, remember, is 4 beats of music that's just set off like these are here. So, but what Leon does, he takes exactly the same chord. In this case, the chords are exactly the same until we get down here of Angel Eyes, but he's doubled up everything. So now everything is twice as long. So they're both afraid to say we're just too far away. You guys recognize it, right? From being close together at the start. He's modulated to the key of A flat major. He started in a minor key, but then he goes to A flat major, which is kind of sweet sounding. But then he hops up to another key, goes down a half step to G. Try to talk it over, but the words got in the way. We're lost inside this lonely game we play, and so forth. You get the idea. Now, in Angel Eyes, in order to make these 2 things align, I have to expand the rhythm in order to make this work. But the chords are the same. So drink up, all you people. And Matt Dennis adds this one, which Leon could have, but didn't need to. Order everything you see. And then letter C, as you're looking at there. Drink up, you lovely people. And that this is where Leon deviates. He doesn't use these two chords. The drink and the laugh is on me. Otherwise, it's exactly the same, but double in length. And that's what threw me. That's the reason I didn't get this. I didn't figure it out until I sat down and worked it out. And of course, we go to the last section. That chord, bum, where Matt Dennis went. Right? You can hear the similarity. So, and of course, Leon just takes it out the way he did in the second 16 measures. And A1 right here, the very end. As we see at A1, he plays the last part. There's that funny Valentine chord. And then the hint of E flat, but he doesn't go there. He goes, it just so happens E flat is the dominant of A flat, so stroke of genius again by Leon. Okay, and you have a masterpiece forever appropriated from another song, but ingeniously done so that a musician like me with music theory composition in my background very strongly was fooled you know, and in a very delightful way. So feel free to contact me if you want more information about all of this. And I sure had a lot of fun exploring this for my old boss and the genius musician, Leon Russell.